Let us now look at the means that help us to master our lower animal nature. All religions and teachings of wisdom emphasize the need for spiritual discipline. Without discipline, there is no progress on the spiritual path. Discipline is the beginning of everything. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your goals. Discipline is the price you have to pay for realizing your ideal. If this price is too high for you, you should not think of mastery. Let us speak about Lord Buddha. People do not grasp the foundation of the teaching of the Blessed One. The foundation is discipline. With spiritual and physical striving, the monastics of the community endeavored to stay on the path. In the first years, a monastic underwent a rigorous regimen. He was forbidden to mortify himself with exaggerated ascetic practices. Rather, he was ordered to do battle along the lines of the spirit alone. Thus, the Buddha was strict in teaching his disciples. In fact, they only knew joy in spiritual battle, which is why the thorns on the path are spoken about. Only when the will of the spiritual warrior had grown strong as a lion's, and the silver bridle of the spirit guiding the disciples' senses had begun to sparkle, only then did the Lord lift the veil slightly and assign a task. Then gradually the disciple was initiated into the mysteries of knowledge. Basically, true freedom is to submit to the realities and laws of the cosmic order, for only in harmony with them does evolution progress. You need to exercise discipline of the spirit, for without it you cannot become free. For the slave, discipline of the spirit will be a prison. For the free, it will be a wondrous healing garden. So long as discipline of the spirit seems like shackles, the door will stay shut, and one cannot go up the steps bound in chains. You can think of discipline of the spirit as wings. No man is free who is a slave to the flesh. Does not discipline imply compulsion against oneself, which the teaching rejects? No. The term discipline has unjustly fallen into disrepute. Here, as everywhere, the cosmic principle of goal fitness applies. Discipline is nothing else than purposeful action to achieve a goal. The Brotherhood points out the goal, the rule of the spirit, and clearly names what is harmful and what is necessary, useful and expedient on the way there. Let us imagine that you see a man doing harm who yet has a spark of psychic energy. It would not be wise to tell him that he is acting wrongly, but it is possible to say that his action does not follow the trend of evolution. It is not a matter of bad or good. It is only that his conduct is not goal-fitting and therefore not practical. If only you are truly determined, you will abandon outdated behavior of your own accord, because you realize that it moves you away from your ideal. Discipline is necessary because any yielding to the lower self weakens the spirit. People want to preserve all their petty habits, forgetting that the habits of the spirit follow from the habits of the body. The spirit weakens and begins to fear courageous action. Thus people become commonplace, with the same conventional joys and sorrows. Every deviation lengthens the path. On the other hand, every proving of yourself, every assertion against the resisting animal ego strengthens the power of your spirit. Each discipline is only strengthening. Discipline of spirit fortifies the wise. In actual fact, we are talking about a very simple, natural, and salutary concept. You feel painfully something lowers your vibration, brings you out of the fiery state, and makes you small and weak, whether it is gluttony, irritability, or dejection. Then discipline only means you learn from the mistake and refrain from repeating it in the future. Thereby, you overcome the pain of your soul and transform it into joy. In the end, it is the highest satisfaction to have remained true to yourself, to your higher self. After some practice, daily discipline carries you more than you have to endure it. The discipline of good is a self-generated joy. A wonderful joy at purity, fidelity, and firmness takes the place of more primitive pleasures and affords a much deeper satisfaction than these. What exactly does discipline relate to? The life of an Agni Yogi is ruled by the 10 pillars of the practice of Agni Yoga. They make up a large part of the education of the body. Aren't you exaggerating the importance of the 10 pillars when you keep emphasizing them over and over again? In the end, they are only a matter of outward appearances. I am sorry, but you've got it pretty wrong. In reality, the 10 pillars are the indispensable basis for a new, more beautiful, more dignified, more spiritual and healthier life, both for the body and for the soul. We in Tabinisi propose to heal the depressed, the sick, the addicted, and even the criminal simply by letting them participate in our normal daily life with its spiritual discipline. A fixed daily routine of worship or meditation, work and education is the royal path and almost a panacea for anyone who wants to start a new life. The 10 pillars describe the habits and customs that reign in the higher worlds, in the abodes of the Brotherhood. According to the ancient principle, as in heaven, so on earth, we are called upon to apply them to our everyday life as well. We had said earlier, in the battle between body and spirit, the stronger will prevails. Thus, the second tool to master your lower nature is: you educate, exercise, preserve, and strengthen your will. What actually is will? An important, difficult, and interesting question, but we do not want to philosophize. First of all, will only means you form a wish or an intention, make a decision or a choice. You want this and that and not something else. You decide to raise your hand in order to greet someone. You resolve to put one foot in front of the other and start walking. Forming a will is easy. The difficulty lies in enforcing what you have resolved to do in the face of adverse circumstances. For example, if you want to finish a marathon run, you have to persevere with your intention for 42 long kilometers, despite the body's resistance and pain. This is a question of the strength of your will. In the terminology of Agni Yoga, we say, whether you are able to assert your will depends upon your mental strength, your psychic energy. When we speak of a weak or strong will, we basically mean a weak or strong psychic energy. For our topic, that means if you want to keep your lower self in check, you have to strengthen the spiritual power of your eternal individuality, your psychic energy. We had already spoken about this topic in the broadcasting Psychic Energy. Do you remember how that works? Every applied thought will bring growth to the spirit. Just by making up your mind to do something and then starting to realize it, for example regarding bad qualities or habits of your body, you strengthen your psychic energy and thus your will. Here as well applies practice makes perfect the master. We have often said, your eternal individuality, your fiery body, is still small and weak and being led around by the nose by its vehicle, the brother donkey. When you develop your soul, as we shall discuss in one of the following broadcastings on the education of your eternal individuality, it will grow ever greater. Then, one day, it will have such a spiritual power, such a strong will, that it will be able to assert itself against the body. It is the will that makes a man great or small. What should my will be directed at? Basically, it is quite simple. Hearken to your soul when it says to you, I want one thing, but I do not want the other. If a desire is selfish, crude, or half-formed, speak to it with all the concentrated willpower at your command. I do not desire this thing, though my mind or body may desire it. It is not in accord with universal law. Therefore, it is not my real desire. If you do this with sufficient intensity, you will find that particular desire shriveling up, going out, and know yourself free from it, with a higher desire in its place. A help in strengthening your will is the ancient wisdom that teaches, if you want the goal, you must also want the means. Therefore, set yourself a goal. For example, to free yourself from a habit that oppresses you. Keep it constantly in mind. Imagine again and again how wonderful it will be when you have reached it. Then you will also find the will to walk the path that leads to this goal.